Welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Tim.
I'm Gaby, and I'm taking a break from playing Baldur's Gate, the video game, to talk about Baldur's Gate, the Magic cards.
You've been playing it nonstop. I was looking through all the cards from Battle for Baldur's Gate, the Magic set from last year, and I was realizing that although a lot of those characters are present, they're maybe not fully realized as to how they actually are in the video game. So what we thought we'd do is maybe go over some of these companions. Everyone loves the companions. You play the game long enough, you're going to fall in love with all of them. We're going to talk about these companions, talk about their existing card, maybe talk about some of their flavor, and then maybe see if we have like an idea for a new card or like a new mechanic or something like that between the two of us.
In terms of spoilers, we're going to try to keep it, quote, Act 1, which is kind of the starter map, starter area, and the things that champions do there, because a lot of them have big character moments later in the game, and we're going to try to not cover those.
We are going to be talking pretty firmly about Act 1, though, like things that happen in Act 1, because some of them are like pretty core to the character as you experience them, and we didn't want to skip out on that.
Right.
I think the other kind of interesting thing about looking at these companion characters now is that most of them have the choose a background mechanic, which was sort of a partnering mechanic where you have like a character and then you have a background enchantment, and you get to put both of those in your command zone, and all the background enchantments enhance commanders. I think that was like really cool and essential to how like they got the multicolor stuff and the color identity stuff working in Battle for Baldur's Gate. But we're not actually going to worry about choose a background here. We're going to try to look at the characters. What do those characters mean mechanically, at their core, separate from choose a background?
Right.
All right, so our first one is going to be Lae'zel, Vlaakith's champion. This is 2 and a white for a 3/3. It's a legendary creature, Gith Warrior. If you would put one or more counters on a creature or planeswalker you control, or on yourself, put that many +1 of each of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead, and then choose a background. That's the existing card. What is Lae'zel's flavor? What is she like in the game?
Gith Yankee are the Forgotten Realms race that live in the astral plane, and they're stereotypically evil. They have a very hierarchical and brutal society. That is an important part of her being Vlaakith's champion. She's completely devoted to the head of the Gith Yankee.
Their society is sort of cutthroat, kind of old school Klingon, like warrior race. Oh, as you're growing up, it's kind of expected if you want to be a cool soldier, you're going to be killing a bunch of your fellow students. Like you have to prove that you're more powerful by just like absolute ruthless development.
Yeah, and everybody in this race in the Forgotten Realms has psionic powers, so far jumping, stunning people, running fast, sometimes like teleporting from one place to the other. So there's definitely kind of a space alien vibe to this Forgotten Realms race as well.
Lae'zel, in most people's playthrough, just has a gigantic weapon, and that is there to like leap into battle and, have a little battlefield mastery, but mostly just there to swing a giant weapon a bunch of times at people.
Yeah, I think that's where looking at the card doesn't fit that default playstyle for Lae'zel's. I think it not only the art, but also just like the size, 3/3 doesn't feel quite right for that. White does feel right for that because she is definitely a soldier, a warrior inside this very structured. Yeah.
They kind of portray her here as she looks kind of like a ranger almost. She's got a bow and some arrows. She's kind of leaping through, she's kind of perched, kind of Batman style on like maybe the top of a tower.
Yeah, the art doesn't imply heavy armor to me.
Yeah.
Is she even wearing shoes?
Oh, I don't know. There could be sort of an agility portion to Lae'zel. Like right. You could say, jumping, well, it's technically heavy armor, but it's sort of lightweight and maneuverable. And yeah, the ability to use like psionics and stuff to jump around can allow you to be more nimble maybe than her gross weight might suggest.
So what about the actual ability about putting counters +1 on creatures, planeswalkers, or yourself? Okay, what are the yourself counters?
That would be energy counters, experience counters, technically like poison, though you're probably not going to be doing that.
No, I wouldn't do that one, yeah.
The existing card, and it is a fairly popular card, the existing card is a way to like basically super friends a little harder. All your Planeswalker pluses become better. All of your little mechanics that put +1/+1 counters on your creatures become better, and so on. There's not a lot of teamwork in Lae'zel's playbook.
No, I don't think she's a go wide kind of person.
No,
I think she would be happy adventuring solo and beating out every other person in her squad to get the most glory.
One of the mechanics that seemed like it might be kind of Lae'zel-y is an old mechanic called Exalted.
Yeah.
If one of your creatures attacks alone, something happens.
Oh, I love that. In the video game, I often have her just run out ahead. She's got the most health. She's going to go swing with her big axe over there.
Yeah.
Her attacking alone makes a lot more sense than a go-wide kind of team.
The kind of funny thing about Exalted is that it does imply a little bit of go-wide, because you want to have like 3 different creatures that have Exalted.
Right.
And then a 4th creature who's actually really good for attacking. And although Lae'zel would enjoy that praise, I don't know that she's necessarily trying to do that. So it's maybe more the attacking alone than the specifically Exalted.
Right.
Maybe something if she's tougher if she's just attacking or blocking alone.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah, there are other cards like that. Are they in white, though?
Yeah, we saw in Neon Dynasty, the new Kamigawa, there was sort of a red-white samurai theme, and the samurai were all stronger if there was only one attacker or blocker.
Yeah.
I could even imagine like has like double strike if she's attacking or blocking alone or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gets very lethal very fast, yeah.
And then maybe what we could try to bring out in the second ability is something with those psionics. Jumping, stunning.
Yeah, I was thinking prowess.
Prowess, okay.
So to go along with spell slingers, and then she's like the strong one that takes advantage of that.
We're sort of thinking that we're going to be casting a couple spells along with Lae'zel.
Maybe. I don't totally know. I think it fits with the psionic idea.
Yeah, maybe prowess is pretty good. Or like whenever you cast the instant or sorcery spell, she can get either +1/+1 or flying or stun something. I'm kind of making it up, but...
Right. I do like the idea of like a conditional flying, matching the flavor of the Githyanki. And that could keep her in white. So maybe you like tap 3 other creatures to get her flying or something like that.
All right, so we have maybe this attack or block alone gain double strike sketch. And then we have this other thing where we want to gain like conditional flying or something like that. We can also just kind of merge those. We could say, hey, if you want to super jump, you don't also get to double strike.
Right.
So when she attacks or blocks alone, gain your choice of double strike or flying.
I like that. Yeah.
A tactical game like D&D is like got a lot of action economy to it, so you can sometimes decide like, well, I'm right next to the monster I want to fight. I'm just going to go to town and swing as many times as I can.
Right.
Oh, the monster that I want to fight is way up on that cliff. I'm going to do like a cool thing to get up there and then maybe get one attack in.
I like what you said about alternative, right? So same condition, and then you choose what effect you want.
I think the other kind of fun thing about the choice of double strike or flying is that it means if you do extra work to clear the way, you get to really hammer people with your double striker. But if you're just not really that lazy, if Lae'zel's kind of on their own, give it flying. That's fine. It's a flying attacker. That's cool.
Yeah.
We maybe have like all the pieces we need just in that clause. The attack or block alone, gain your choice of double strike or flying.
I kind of like it, and it's not that many words, and it's very flavorful to how she plays in our game.
Do we want to try to make her like really good for her cost and then just a pretty simple ability and then just say go to town?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm thinking 4 power.
4 power on a commander that could get double strike is a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe kind of the excitement is...
Right.
If it's just 3, doubling that up, I'd have to work pretty hard to get that into scary numbers. An example of some like kind of statty white commanders, like a big angel would be 5 mana, 5/5 flying first strike lifelink.
And our ability is way more conditional than that.
Yeah, absolutely. We thinking maybe like a 4 mana 4/4.
It feels a little bit late to have her cost 4, for like a Voltron type commander.
We could give her some sort of protection because she's a fighter, like a temporary protection or something like that.
Yeah.
Even just like some sort of ward might be enough to get her off the ground.
Ward would fit, yeah. I'm just worried that if she comes out on turn 4, she's very vulnerable for a whole round before she attacks.
If we're trying to get down on mana, she's extremely devoted. That's like the main thing about Lae'zel, is that she's like really laser focused. We could go triple white. We could go 3 mana, but you got to be all in on white.
Interesting. Okay.
Like a white 4/3.
Yeah.
This is our treat for the mono white players, maybe.
Then putting it in the 99 in the commander deck, triple white feels brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, it does kind of close it off as being like a role player.
Maybe 1 white would be enough of that limitation.
So right now we've got 1 white for a 4/3. It has ward 3. And then we just got the super clean ability on here. Whenever Lae'zel attacks or blocks alone, gain your choice of double strike or flying until end of turn.
Sounds great.
I kind of want a little more zhuzh. I don't know. I think Lae'zel mechanically in the game is probably the most straightforward of them. A fighter.
Yeah.
Who's going around slapping people.
Yeah. Big weapon, big armor. Yeah.
Alrighty, next up we've got Shadowheart, Dark Justiciar, the internet's darling. She's 3 in black for a legendary creature, human elf cleric. She's a 3/4 and has the ability 1 in a black, tap, sacrifice another creature, draw X cards where X is that creature's power. Just choose a background as well. Okay, what's Shadowheart like?
Are we going to call her Shart?
It's the way to say it. We call her Shart, yeah.
She is a half elf, so the type line human elf makes sense. Yeah. And she's a cleric of Shar, who is a usually evil god of misery, loss, forgetting, shadows. And she wants to be the greatest of them. So in a lot of ways, Shadowheart and Lae'zel are kind of in this like lawful order. But one's a cleric, one's a warrior.
Maybe we should not call her Shart, because that does sound just like Shar.
Yeah, okay. Shadowheart.
She's sort of like trying to belong. Whereas Lae'zel's like, I'm in the order, I'm really powerful, everyone knows it. Shadowheart is like, man, I really wish I could prove it to Shar that I'm cool.
Right. She's notoriously emo. She's all up in her feelings. Yeah, she's got like emo bangs and wears black all the time and has a big scar over her face. She hurts. She's got a mysterious wound that hurts her and she has to gasp and disrupt whatever the party was talking about to talk about how much pain she's in. So my feelings about her ability, which are 1 in a black, tap, sack another creature, draw X cards where X is that creature's power. This just feels generically black. Yeah.
This would probably be more reasonable on Lae'zel than it would be on Shadowheart.
Right.
I don't know if Shadowheart has it in her.
Yeah.
Shadowheart's also a cleric, so they have a variety of spells. Some of the Shar spells might map over where they have kind of trickery. Hey, I've got this dummy version of myself that is going to draw attacks. Or like invisibility, I'm going to disappear. Or darkness, I'm going to make it hard for other people to see. Some of those map pretty well to magic cards.
Yeah, I was thinking that might be more fun if those were her abilities. So like sneaking, disguising is like one of her built-in abilities.
Oh yeah, that's true, yeah.
And I don't get any of that trickery vibe off of the existing ability. So what abilities in black feel like trickery?
Well, I think the famous one is ninjutsu, right? You thought I was this thing, but I was actually this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not totally sure if we want to make it. Shadowheart wants to be a ninja. She wants to be an armored justiciar, which are basically like Shar's ninjas who wear plate
Right.
Darkness and stuff like that, you could kind of do that with like negative power on creatures. So like if she had some ability to give like -2, -0, or -1, -1 to enemy creatures or something.
Right.
we got her started here as a 3/4. I think the 4 is okay. She wears armor. She's pick up a shield usually. I don't know if she's 3 power. She might be a little lower than that.
Yeah, I don't think of her as doing much damage in the game.
The Shadowheart is like the first cleric you get access to, which is like just tactically in D&D kind of nice because throwing out healing spells is like just kind of nice as in a tactical game. She's got flexibility. She can heal people. She can, debuff people. She can throw out some damage spells, but maybe not that good at it. So a 1 or a 2 power feels more Shadowhearty to me.
Yeah, I like that.
Are there any other colors that you could imagine bringing in for Shadowheart here? Because like some of the trickery power set feels blue. I don't know if she's a blue character though.
No, I don't think that blue characters agonize as much about themselves. What about reducing power on enemy creatures, like a defensive?
Yeah. If it's just minus power, that also feels like it's leaking over into blue a little bit. But if we do like a -2, -1 somehow, either to a single creature or to a small group of creatures.
Yeah. In the cleric spell list, there are Bane and Bless. And when you Bane an enemy, their rolls get worse. And when you Bless a friend, their rolls get better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, target creature gets your choice of.
Right.
+2, +1, or -2, -1 until end of turn.
If we're adding power, that definitely bleeds into white, I think. And I think that would be the color that I often think of with clerics, just because of their healing abilities and buff abilities.
We got a whole lot of hierarchy again, right? Like her whole...
Yeah.
Even though she is willing to serve an evil god, she's willing to serve an evil god because she wants to be part of the club.
Right. I was thinking where that could turn into is a black activated ability and a white activated ability. And either you choose between them or you pay a ton of mana and get both. Okay, what if it's not a tap ability? What if it's just activated? And so you activate one with like 2 and a black, and you activate the other one with 2 and a white. I think I've seen commanders like that have several activated abilities in different colors. Obviously, Kenrith is a famous one, but there's a bunch of 2-color ones.
Yeah, the thing that I'd be a little worried about if we're trying to do like 2 and a white and 2 and a black is that like that would be very solid in a draft. Like those abilities would be good, but they're not really going to give us that commander dream, I don't think.
I see.
I think maybe if we get into a tap ability, then that can be
powerful enough that you build it around.
Yeah, it could just be 1 mana or something, so you're like swinging combats left and right.
Right.
The other way we could do it is like something could lower the cost of those abilities. So you have the 2 and a white, 2 and a black, and then you have like a third ability on her that's like her activated abilities cost X less based on maybe like the number of other clerics you control.
I was thinking cleric tribal would be a fun thing to have a deck built around here.
All right.
There could be an activated ability that results in -2/-2 for all non-clerics.
So she like blows up anything that's not Sharon.
Is that too weak for a commander?
That's basically like creatures you don't control get -2/-2 until end of turn.
Yes. And repeatable, which is maybe not what you want.
Yeah, we're designing these kind of with commander first, I think.
Right, yeah.
And if it were in a draft environment, it would maybe be in another commander draft environment. I guess in a draft environment, then the ability gets weaker because you won't likely have all clerics.
Right. It could be non-black.
Non-black actually fits her more than, I think, more than cleric in a way.
Yeah, interesting.
Because she get darkness, giving more darkness.
Yeah, true.
I do want to explore a little bit more the thing from earlier of like, we've got 2 activated abilities that get cheaper if you do something.
What about incorporating leveling for her, because she does desperately want to level up? She's so devoted, and this could be a devotion ability, literally the same word. You could do something only if you have devotion to black of a certain level.
Yeah, if your devotion to black is 5 or higher or 7 or higher.
Yeah. So that would be different than leveling her up, but it would indicate that you have to build your board.
I want it to be your devotion.
Yeah.
But maybe, at least for this card, for our discussion here, we'll just say, like, if your devotion to black is
Right.
5 or higher. And I think that's a good stopping point for that card. I think that's a fun card that has some potential. So we've got 2 and a white, target creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. 2 and a black, target creature gets -2/-1 until end of turn. And then Dark Justice Year. Activated abilities of Shadowheart cost 2 less to activate if your devotion to black is 5 or greater.
I think this is really flavorful. I love the Bane and Bless activated abilities matching the cleric. And just having the word devotion for a cleric just makes my flavor senses tingle.
Yeah.
It just happens to work out, right? But you're so committed to this color that you get better abilities.
If you can maintain a big enough board, you can really start murdering. But people also have the opportunity to maybe dismantle your board a little bit.
I do like that Bless and Bane are repeatable, that they aren't tap abilities. That makes that a lot more reasonable to do on later turns. So you can take somebody down by spending 7 mana, or take 7 things down by spending 7 mana. So I like that a lot.
And we got a little bit of white mana on there, which I think is important.
Right.
Speaking of 2 color, and speaking even of white-black, did we back ourselves in a corner here designing 2 of the same card? We've got maybe the breakout character, is that fair to say? One performance of the year, at least.
He's on the cover art also.
The handsome, beautiful vampire, Astarion the Decadent. 4 white-black for legendary creature, Vampire Elf Rogue. It's a 4/4, 6 mana 4/4. Death Touch, lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, choose 1. Feed. Target opponent loses life equal to the amount of life they lost this turn. Friends, you gain life equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. This is like a classic black-white, like Death Touch lifelink type of design. We've got 2 colors, we've got like square stats, and then we've got this ability to make your opponents lose extra life or to make you gain more life.
Card's perfect, just like Astarion. So his creature type line is Vampire Elf Rogue here. It's Vampire Spawn. It's a little bit put a pun in his vampire society. He's on the run. He has to scavenge for food, but he's also a charlatan background, so he loves lying and making fun of his friends. I think the phrase you have here, Tim, is super charming and pleasantly derisive. He's a high elf. Noble. He loves the things in the city and he wants to go to a big party. So it's that kind of vampire, which is a little bit close to some magic vampires. I think like Olivia reminds me a little bit of him, but not all the vampires, like not the excellent vampires.
Not the conquistadors. I would maybe question mark the white level of Astarion.
Yeah.
Whereas Shadowheart, I felt like white had to start getting in there. I think Astarion could maybe lose white and still be Astarion. There's no org around him. He hates his organization.
Yeah, I think there are no rules outside of maybe fashion.
Yeah, it makes the card look really pretty.
And looking as hot as he can in his little jacket. Yeah.
A kind of crucial early moment in the game with Astarion. You're in camp, you don't know he's a vampire yet. He doesn't have any vampire powers. Because of some of the premise of the game, all the characters that you're meeting are kind of suppressed or sick in some way. In Astarion's case, that's actually just as helpful as it is harmful, because he can walk in the sun freely, even though he's a spawn. He can cross rivers. There's some jokes about that kind of stuff. Eat garlic.
He's definitely not meek, and he's definitely willing to bite, and it does make him happy. He does enjoy drinking blood. He just kind of holds himself back in pleasant company. With
Astarion, he has a kind of a bite ability, like a blood drain ability. You can use that on your own characters to power up Astarion ahead of time. I think there's probably a black card in there where you have an ability, I think of Morbid. If a creature has died this turn, or if a creature has been dealt damage this turn, he's a little bit stronger.
I was thinking about Morbid too. Yeah. I think Morbid would fit really well on his card.
There's another one like Spectacle or something like that.
It's if an opponent's taken damage.
Yeah, if opponents have taken damage. I guess what I'm trying to capture though is like if anything has taken damage, if he has gotten in there.
I like Spectacle for the flavor of the keyword. I don't know if there's a term for it, but if a creature takes damage, like you can later say it's dead now. So you start by doing a small amount of damage, and then his like once per turn ability is, okay, it's actually dead. If we are thinking no more white and move him into red-black, I think that opens up that like spectacle space.
The red starts to get us in like rogue stuff.
Yeah.
The big warrior is distracting the enemy, and then the rogue sneaks behind and stabs him. Or you hide in the shadows, then pounds and stab him, or whatever. And whether it's haste or some other kind of quick ability that conveys rogue, I think we're kind of getting somewhere.
The first turn is so important for a rogue. Like there's assassin concept where your first turn is your most effective turn.
Maybe it's not necessarily like an expensive thing, but almost like a kicker effect. I could play him if I want to play him for 3 mana.
Right.
But if I want to pay like 4 black-red, then he enters the battlefield, stabs them, does 2 damage, shocks somebody or whatever, lightning bolts somebody. And then his second ability cares about if something's been damaged.
I think we should call that coup de grace.
All right.
What if his creature has been dealt damage this turn, destroy it?
Yeah, at the beginning of your end step, destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn.
Yeah. You may destroy. Yeah. You're not going to force him to destroy himself, are you?
No. And we also don't want to.
Yeah.
Part of the flavor of Astarion is that he'll slurp a little bit of blood from somebody, but not kill them if it's your party member.
Right.
So maybe the thing we need to put this over the top is just lifelink. Because then we have the flavor of I can ETB, deal damage, and gain some life.
So if you hold on to him until turn 5 or 6 in a commander game, you can destroy a creature.
Yeah.
That feels a little bit heavy on cost.
I don't know what his stats should be. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, maybe he needs big stats to have that work.
Maybe we could pull the cost of the kicker down a little bit.
With Lifelink, maybe the cost is fine.
We could do Commander Players a solid and make it a red-white hybrid.
Oh, they'd be so happy.
Let's say you don't pay the kicker. How do you feel about your card? 2 and a black at the beginning of your end step. You may destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. I guess that does have build around abilities because it makes me want to have like little things that can just deal a little bit of damage easily. And then I'm sort of making my card back by every turn being able to pick off the best creature easily.
I think his power toughness have to come down.
Probably, yeah. He can't stay at 4/4 for 3 mana.
If Lae'zel's a 3/3, Astarion's not a 4/4.
And Astarion's not really a 4/4, I don't think.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I like 3/2, I think.
All right. I think this is a pretty good spot to stop, actually. I think we're good here. I think, the rogue sneaking up and just like sneak attacking people at the end of each round, finishing off the weak targets. That's a good place. A rogue doesn't want to be stuck next to the healthy creature. The rogue wants to be stuck next to the wounded creature so they can finish it off and be safe.
Let me kill it. Yeah.
Next up, we've got Gale, Waterdeep Prodigy. He's 2 and a blue for a 1/3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, you may cast up to 1 target card of the other type from your graveyard. If a spell cast from your graveyard this way would be put in your graveyard, exile it instead, and as choose a background. So whenever you cast an instant, you can cast a sorcery that turn from your graveyard. Whenever you cast a sorcery from your hand, you can cast an instant from your graveyard.
His title, Gale, Waterdeep Prodigy, he calls himself a prodigy. He believes he is just the most amazing wizard, destined for greatness. His pose in this art, where he's just feeling the power, that is extremely Gale.
I think of him as likably cocky, though. Like he's super polite, he's super friendly.
Well, okay. I do have to reveal that my character did marry Gale in my game, so I do have a soft spot for him, but I don't know if everybody likes him immediately because he is very cocky. And the first time you talk to him, he says, I was a wizard prodigy. Like,
fair enough.
In another early scene, you see him casting mirror image on himself to check out his own look.
Yeah.
It happens multiple times. He has like a mirror image servant, and I think that like cloning is a big thing for Gale that I don't see on the card.
Yeah.
I think copying is more his flavor than anything graveyard related.
As part of his weakening, he doesn't have control of this artifact that's been implanted in his chest, and he needs to absorb the power of magic items in order to stay alive. If you imagine you're the typical, D&D player going into a tomb, getting a bunch of treasure, getting some cool magic items. Those magic items are important. And Gale's like, I need to destroy those to survive. You're like, come on, man, I don't even have you in my party. What are you making me do that for?
Yeah.
He doesn't eat them. He glowingly holds them up to his chest, kind of video game style.
He absorbs the weave, yes.
So he's got normal wizard powers, whatever those are. He really likes the kind of cloning, duplication powers, but he'll throw fireballs. And then he also has this kind of hunger or need to keep consuming magic items.
His card is good.
I kind of need to have a mixture of expensive and cheap spells because I kind of want to get a bunch in my graveyard so I can start accruing value. I'm probably really limited on mana. I think that's the wrap on this Gale card and why it maybe didn't take off. If you're trying to cast 2 spells a turn in blue, what are you casting where that matters? Are you just double cantripping every turn? That's not very fun.
Yeah, that's where I think copies get more fun because copying a big spell feels really good. And people will dump 7 or 10 mana into a big spell like that.
Yeah. I think the kind of template of what I'm looking for here is Gale has the ability to either copy spells or multicast, do something with spells. And he's able to do that with bigger and bigger spells if he can keep his thing fed. Maybe a template for that for me would be when Gale enters the battlefield, get some energy counters. You can spend energy to copy spells of however much energy you spent. And at the end of your turn, you can sacrifice an artifact. If you do, get a bunch of energy.
I like that. Obviously, it would be kind of a big change for the set that it goes in because you would need other energy support.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking of energy as you could support it, and when you build your commander deck, you absolutely are putting a bunch of energy cards in there. But a lot of other energy cards, it's kind of self-contained as well.
Yeah, it could work on its own, yeah.
There's an old Jace card, Jace Mirror Mage, which is a planeswalker that can kick to make copies of itself. So you have multiple Shadow Jaces walking around. Some portion of that also feels pretty Gale-y.
I like that a lot. Cloning himself is fun. Cloning other stuff is a little bit less his vibe in the game, I think.
Maybe another route to take with Gale here is finding a way to make multiple copies of Gale.
So if you have a copy of him, how does this change? So you could sack 2 artifacts to gain 6 energy. I think that'd probably be the most common thing to do with the clone. Is just sack.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I'm starting to realize that might leave the flavor a little bit because there's only one Gale that is real that can eat artifacts. So I don't necessarily want these clones to be gaining all of his abilities.
I see.
There's even some other wizards that you meet where they have an illusion or an image of themselves that's kind of autonomous, that doesn't have their powers, but has their personality and stuff like that.
Yeah. Welcome to my home. If you would like to enter the front door. Yeah.
For better or worse, this energy solution, this is 3 different clauses. We don't really have room for another thing if we're trying to get this energy thing plus the copy thing on there.
I think what you have fits really well with his flavors. Get bigger and bigger by destroying things, and then cast a huge spell at the end.
Yeah.
Or consistently cast a spell every turn.
Yeah, you could double cast 1 or 2 mana spells pretty often.
Right.
Whenever you sort of have a thing where you need a mixture of your cool spells and your good artifacts that you want to put in there. Oh, and now my deck has 20 artifacts, so maybe I need to put a card that
feels very wizardy, yeah.
Yeah, I need to have some instants and sorceries that can copy artifacts or bring artifacts back from my graveyard. Or even energy cards. Can I have an artifact that makes energy for me? And I can kind of trust, hopefully, that they're going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 mana spells that are really dynamite to copy. They must exist. There must be some fun ones out there to deploy with Gale here.
So, is there a surprising interaction somewhere with sack X to gain Y, and then you get 2Y instead.
Right now we got him sketched out as an end of turn trigger, so it's not like Phyrexian Altar or something where we could sack a creature to get mana, and then use that mana to get more creatures, to sack more creatures to get more mana.
Right.
You can't do that like a bunch of times in the turn. So I feel like we've got the safety we need to not generate too much energy.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
I'm sure our friends could absolutely break this card and get so much energy.
Yeah. The way he's reading now, he kind of feels like he's maybe more of a 99er than a commander.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still feel like he if you want to take the monocolor commander challenge, then Gale can help you with it.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think his original cost and size are also pretty reasonable.
Yeah, 2 in a blue and then a 1/3.
Yeah,
I think that's well for him. Yeah.
I guess he could have 0 power. I don't know. Is that we'll keep him at 1/3. He can
Whatever.
Stay 1/3. Yeah.
He's not a skeleton. He
could swing a quarterstaff.
He can hold a staff. And a shield. If anybody's listening, put a shield on Gale.
Next up on our list of companions here is Wyll, Blade of Frontiers. He's 1 and a red for a 1/1. Legendary creature, human warlock. If you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many dice plus 1 and ignore the lowest roll. Whenever you roll 1 or more dice, put a +1/+1 counter on Wyll. And he has to choose a background.
So all warlocks in D&D and in Baldur's Gate get powers from somebody else. They have a pact with a powerful being or a force of nature or a magical item. Wyll has a pact with a devil, but he is an overall good, heroic guy. He's super daring. He calls himself the Blade of the Frontiers because he wants to protect everybody who doesn't have a protector. He has like a big fancy rapier and fancy clothes, and he's been fighting in a big war.
There is a little bit in kind of Fiend Warlock mechanics in D&D that there is a little bit of dice manipulation, but I wouldn't necessarily think of Wyll as being as dice representing how Wyll works. What do you think?
Yes, the variations for warlocks in D&D are pretty widely varied. You can go a lot of different ways with warlocks. He does come with a big sword, so maybe people make him a sword lock. Yeah.
I think because of that, we give him like an okay body that has like some benefit while he's fighting. And then we do something really cool where you as the player pick who he's pacted to. You have a demon in your deck, you have something in a creature that he like bonds to, and that like somehow informs the rest of Wyll's powers.
So kind of like choose a background.
Yeah, what I want to do is instead of choose a background, I want choose a devil.
Yeah.
Partner with demon.
Yeah.
And it might even be, maybe we don't have the second card as a creature we're attacking with. Maybe something like, when Wyll enters the battlefield, search your library for a demon or devil. Exile it.
I was thinking, yeah.
And then Wyll gets like +X+X whenever, where X is the mana value of that demon. That's not quite right, but we're going to have a devil that exists out there somewhere, and we're going to benefit from whatever that devil's doing.
I love the idea of searching a library for, and then a list of things, demon or devil or whatever. So it doesn't have to be a partner, it doesn't have to be a background, it doesn't have to be an actual commander. If it's not just power, toughness, it could be really nice to have like flexibility, like what if it mutates onto Wyll or something like that?
Yes.
Or probably just entering the battlefield would be too much.
Really, he's not like giga strong, like you search out a 7/7 demon and now Wyll's a 8/8. Like that's not quite Wyll.
Right. Yeah.
But maybe a twist on that might work is like he enters the battlefield, you search up a demon, exile it. That's your pact.
Right.
If you spend like 1 or 2 or 3 mana, Wyll gains the abilities of that demon.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think I really like it being, like I said, in the 99, so you have flexibility. So if you have conditional abilities, like if you know you're playing against a control player, or if you know you have to race against a really fast deck, you can pick out which pact you want.
Mm-hmm.
So activate it, and then Wyll would gain the abilities of the exiled card until end of turns. He would gain activated abilities and things like lifelink.
Static abilities, triggered abilities.
Yeah,
yep.
right.
Yep.
Okay.
He would gain keywords. He would gain all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So anything that's written basically in the text box.
Yeah. Probably the main thing that's tricky is that there are some demons with some really powerful ability.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have it just be devils. Are there enough devils? There are 52 devils in Magic, so maybe it's just devils. What are the coolest ones that we could do here? Asmodeus, well, that's that's even Forgotten Realms there. Do we want to give this some activated ability like some black colors so we can get all the black devils? Only about half the devils are red. The other half are black or black-red.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. Yeah, give the activated ability a color. Or like a hybrid, like red or black.
Like a 1 and then Arachnos hybrid.
Yeah.
So the number 1 devil is Mayhem Devil. So if you want Mayhem Devil in the command zone and are willing to pay a little extra, he could play Wyll, activate him whenever relevant things are being sacrificed. Another fun one that's like kind of a combo-y commander thing is Witty Roastmaster, who is a little devil citizen. He's actually kind of an honest guy from Capenna. He has Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Witty Roastmaster deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this is another sort of like, you're paying extra every turn in order to get this ability. But maybe because in the command zone, now you have the flexibility you need. Hellrider is kind of a fun one. Haste, and whenever a creature you control attacks, Hellrider deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. If you want to build your Wyll Go Wide deck, you get Hellrider out of your deck, and then you attack, and then all of your creatures are pinging things. Yeah, if those are the most busted things that we're going to do with Wyll, I think we're safe. We're not crossing lines. And it also opens the possibility that they put Mizora as a card, and they can be packed into Mizora and do whatever she does.
Okay, so first of all, I think we need to exile the devil with a counter, so it's not just exiled with this card. So that if he gets destroyed and comes back, he still has the same pact.
Oh, he should have the same pact. That's a good question.
Another option is that he has to choose a different devil.
Yeah.
And the downside there is that if you have like a threatening devil, people will just remove Wyll because he's small.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to choose a different devil.
The other thing that's kind of nice is if other players are kind of concerned about the power level of your devil, they got to remove him once, and now the Wyll player has to like find a backup strategy.
Find a different devil, yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of adds a little frontier justice to Wyll here.
What I am concerned about then is whenever something dies or whenever a creature enters, those kinds of things you really want on everybody's turn. And if you have to pay 8 per round to keep it up, and then somebody just kills it and you can't get the ability back, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Here's a compromise then. What if it gains the abilities until your next turn?
Thinking. I feel like it's a little unusual, but I like it.
It solves the problem.
Right.
It's such a dramatic thing. It's your commander. It's your commander's ability. Something lasting until your next turn is less of a cost than putting it on like a workaday creature.
I mean, he could be in the 99.
Yeah, but it's still kind of a big event. I've got this devil. I had to go search this devil. I put it, they're stacked on top of each other. Everyone else is like, oh, what's that? And then when you activate it, you just know, I just have to pay sort of an upkeep to keep these powers.
Yeah, okay. I like that. So, but flavor-wise, you don't change the pact a lot. It's very much a lawyer kind of, there's a big written document.
Yeah, that is true. But also I have definitely seen like Let's Plays and stuff or D&D adventure recaps where the changing of your pact is like a really cool, dramatic part of the storyline of your character.
Yeah, people do that. Same as like clerics losing their god or paladins losing their oath or whatever. It could be a story beat. Yeah.
I think the point at which your warlock dies and then a quest ensues to resurrect them is a great time narratively to also like question what the pact's, the pact lasts until death. Okay, well, I did die,
Yeah.
so now I'm
I'm
out.
dead. Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Maybe bump him to 2-1. We can give him a little more power.
I mean, one toughness is very small. He could die to a
Okay.
stiff breeze.
You want like a 2-2?
He can wear armor and stuff. Not heavy armor, but...
Yeah. I don't have a lot of Wyll expertise. Whenever I try to bring him into the party, he gets smushed all the time, so...
Yeah.
Maybe I have the wrong
Gotta
impression.
give him a shield. Give him a shield.
I guess he also is a human, so he can also hold the shield. All right, last but opposite of least, whatever that is.
Oh my gosh. Best? Last but best?
We've got Karlach, Fury of Avernus, 4 and a red for legendary creature Tiefling Barbarian. Whenever you attack, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap all attacking creatures. You gain first strike until end of turn. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Let's choose a background. There's a 5/4. So 5 mana, 5/4, and then you just get to multi-attack. What's Karlach like as a character?
She's so perfect. Okay. She started as a tiefling who are kind of like devil-looking people, but they are only devil-looking because they were kind of cast into the hells. They aren't actually devils inside. She's got a big heart. She's a barbarian. She likes to swing a big hammer or axe around. She's had a rough go of it, like many of our characters. She was like forced into a devil's army in this war that has been in the hells. And to kind of keep her on a leash and power her up, she has kind of a clockwork mechanical engine in her chest, which is very unstable above the ground.
Yeah, and it's the infernal engine, so it's like this big beating red furnace in her chest.
Yes. And she's so sweet. Tim was telling me that she was kind of a late addition to the character roster, and they already had like hardcore warrior girl, they had emo girl, and then they did like a big golden retriever character. And so she's huge, and she has a huge weapon, but she's just a big, sappy golden retriever and loves to make friends and loves to pet animals. And she's just big mommy.
She's like 6.5, 7 feet tall.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of mechanically, Karlach is a barbarian, which means faster, lots of hit points, doesn't wear heavy armor, very athletic. And then also the cool feature is like raging, which is the ability to like temporarily get extra strong, extra athletic, all sorts of, maybe you get extra bonus abilities, light on fire or whatever. And as long as you can keep fighting, then you can keep the rage going and you can keep moving. And that's maybe the closest part to where her rules text comes in. This is another one that sort of feels kind of leadershipy to me. After your first combat, you get a second combat. It feels more like the Boros Legion to me. That's like, everybody dig deep and we're going to attack again. How does this strike you?
Well, I love her. I love the art. I think the art fits her really well with just the huge hammer coming straight towards the camera. She doesn't actually have to attack to get 2 combats. So this, I think, is active the first turn she's out. It's such a strong ability. So huge. I have enjoyed playing decks like this in Commander before. Multiple combats. People flip out when it's about to happen.
Are you saying your bias is kicking in and you're saying the card's perfect, we're done?
I like playing this. Yeah, card's perfect. Change nothing. As is.
Alrighty. She's maybe more of an enchantment than she is an actor on the battlefield, because her job is mostly to be played on the final turn when you then go and double attack people.
Right, and she just stays back because she's summoning sick.
Yeah. If we're looking at how well the cards map, I don't know. Maybe it maps the excitement level. Hey, we're all going to fight until we die.
Do you want more of the up and down, or the activating, or...
Yeah, I think I'd want either...
Unstable?
Yeah, either the Infernal Engine component, like, hey, she's got this thing that's beating. Maybe what I'm trying to talk about are things that are just all kind of downside.
I've commented on the titles, Karlach, Fury of Avernus. I don't think she would want to be called that. Unlike the other companions who gave themselves their titles, or very strongly agree with them, I think Karlach kind of wants to put that Avernus phase behind her. First of all, we changed the name of the card. Name her Karlach, Bat Out of Hell.
All right. You can get some items sometimes, some infernal coins that allow you to further juice up the engine. I don't know. It's like an arcade machine or something, or like a like a laundromat laundry thing.
Yeah.
Is there some way we can convey that? Can we spend treasure? Can we spend red mana? Can we do something to pump her to make her more of the point?
Yeah, I think that's where I was thinking, like fire breathing would make sense for her. And also it's kind of like activate rage, you get more power.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of a boring ability for a commander.
Yeah. Yeah, the built-in ability is so strong. If we're sticking with that, there's not a lot of room to layer on more.
Add, yeah.
Yeah.
We could add a penalty if she doesn't attack.
Yeah, that was sort of a sketch that I had in my mind while we were talking, and I just feel like I'm a wet blanket.
Yeah.
Because to me, the way that rage should work is something like, when you attack, blah, 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 blah. But if you didn't attack, you lose all your abilities. You stop raging.
Right.
But that's just kind of sad. I don't know.
Yeah. We could put attacks each turn if able. And that would fit flavor-wise, and it would also make her a little bit more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like she would have to get into combats. I would be happy adding that.
And that maps pretty well to like from Barbarian to D&D, what that would mean. Yeah.
And then give her hasted compensation for a coin.
Alrighty. Well, all the other ones we did massive overhauls of, but Karlach here is your baby. You're already happy. Yeah. You don't need anything more. That's
my big mommy. Yeah.
That's a great way to end this episode.
No changes.
I'm willing to concede.
Okay.
Anyhow, there are a bunch of other companions that you can recruit, and maybe we'll do a second episode someday. If people like this episode, maybe we'll jump in and do some more live design. There's Halsin, the big druid, whose card absolutely does not do him justice, as well as a couple other ones, Minthara and some of the other cool characters you can recruit. And they also didn't do cards for like all the main villains in the game, which maybe helps lower the spoiler level, but it's kind of disappointing. I don't know. I want to see the big three.
Yeah.
So maybe that would be a thing to tackle for a future project. If you've played Baldur's Gate, give us your version of Ketheric or something. If you got a different idea for choose of backgrounds, if you got like a twist on that, I'd be interested in seeing how those where we could go with choose a background to make that more fun.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for our podcast for the week. Go ahead and join that Discord. You can also visit beaconofcreation.com to see like all the card images and stuff like that. We put those up there. Thanks for listening.
Bye. And always remember, give Gale a shield.